Welcome to the city of the unwritten. A city that's given so much. A city of people who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. A city of makers, entrepreneurs, musicians, artists. A city of laughter, memories, and people who will welcome others in with a cup of heartwarming handmade coffee. A city of people, young and old, working together. People who explore, live, and grow together. But what makes this place special? Being listed year after year as one of the best places to raise a family. Maybe because we have a community recognized for its safe neighborhoods and revered for its low unemployment. A city where adventure is everywhere you look, where you can pioneer your own story. We've opened a new page to write on for the generations ahead. Welcome to Bismarck. Come write your story.
Alrighty, good morning everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. I will be your MC today, and my name is Mary Kempenick, and I do workforce marketing and development here in Bismarck at the Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC. We're so glad you're here. Is anyone here for the first time today? Oh, you're all, one person. We're gonna single you out. Hello. All right, so we're going to get this party started. Evan and Janya like to start with what national day it is, and I looked it up this morning. Don't remember, but I do remember yesterday was National Daiquiri Day, and it was interesting because it was the only day. So usually I have a calendar that lists like the 5 or 6 things. National Daiquiri Day has its own day. Even Christmas Day isn't its own day, so I'm not sure what Marlo Anderson is getting at, but the daiquiri is more important than the birth of Jesus. Write it down. Before we get started, we're just going to point out everyone who sponsors 1 Million Cups, keeps the coffee in your cups, keeps the lights on the stage. If you know people who work at these organizations, tell them thank you. So everyone but one person here probably knows what 1 Million Cups is, but in case anyone else is watching online who is brand new, 1 Million Cups is a free weekly program that gives local businesses and organizations an opportunity to get on stage, talk about what they do, why it's important, and get community feedback. Most importantly, free coffee. Which is why we wonder, can we change the face of our startup and business community 1 or 2 or 3 cups of coffee at a time? Just please remember that we will be taking questions at the end. We'll have a mic runner with our big orange mic. Last week, someone called it yellow. I've been thinking about, I know, Tyler, I've been thinking about it since last week. That is an orange mug. If you don't want to ask in person, we will take questions on our online stream on Facebook. And if you tweet #1MCND, someone will probably read your question and ask it. All right, so before we get started, we're going to do some community announcements, and I just want to pause here because I've been thinking this for a while, and I don't know if you've ever seen a Renaissance painting. This is a Renaissance painting to me, where everybody in the picture is doing something a little different, and I think it all adds up to something really interesting. We have people talking, not paying attention in the corner. That guy on the end, I'm pretty sure I went to high school with him. I noticed that a couple weeks ago. Everyone has a different expression on their face, and I don't know, this is art to me. I love this slide. Is Marlo here? No, he didn't want to answer for National Daiquiri Day. Okay, well, just know that there is the Great American Chili Dog and French Fry Festival coming up next week on July 27th. Free French fries, free chili dogs to celebrate that he changed National Friday to always fall on a Friday. There was a lot of peer pressure. He did not do it without a fight, but it changed, and this is how we are celebrating. This is my slide. Just so you guys know, Lemonade Day is this weekend, and Lemonade Day is a national program that we have the Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC host here. It is a program that gives children a curriculum to learn all about startups, business, how it works, and then they end their curriculum by having a lemonade stand. That QR code is a map of all the lemonade stands that will be in Bismarck, Mandan. So I encourage you to snap it, look at the map, find the lemonade stand near you, and support all the elementary schoolers that are working so hard to learn what it means to own a business. I have a script for this, so you'll all have to tell Jackie that I read her script. She asked me not to wing it, can't understand why. So, Humanities North Dakota presents Hello Fears with Michelle Poehler, How to Crush Your Comfort Zone and Become Who You Were Meant to Be. Michelle is an author, fear facer, and TEDx Houston speaker. The event will be held August 25th at the Bismarck Event Center. Table sponsorship is available. Contact Humanities North Dakota for more info or scan the QR code. I have done my job. And Joe Camisa asked me not to forget him, even though he forgot a slide.
Thank you. You get so busy you never get a chance to put a slide in, so I appreciate the interruption to the slides here. Joe Camisa with Bismarck State College. We do have our Speakers Bureau program. That is a program where we can provide various motivational or professional speakers for various conferences. I know it's conference season. We're getting a lot of phone calls for fall conferences that are getting set up. We in fact just got done getting ready to send one speaker down to Spearfish. I know it's such a chore to go down to Spearfish for a couple of days for a conference, but they're going to be talking to the Electric Rural Cooperative Association at their joint conference. So we do have that going on. If you are interested in learning about a speaker for a conference, lunch and learn, or even if you're having a general training program, let me know. I'll be happy to help you out with that, get you some information. Also, in regard to the Chili Festival, if anybody does make it, I'll probably be in the dunk tank with Marlo, so if you want to dunk a commissioner, feel free to come over and dunk me in the tank. I think that's been lined up. Lastly, coffee. I hope everybody's enjoying the coffee. My wife and I, we do own Cappuccino on Collins that provided the coffee today. We do proudly brew Coal Country coffee that is roasted in Mandan. So it's locally roasted, locally made. So we are located on the 100 block of Collins. So thank you.
All right, and with that, let's get started with our 1 Million Cups programming. Today, we are going to hear from Ryan Botner, who is a motivational speaker and the owner of Cornerstone Consulting Group. Chatting with him beforehand, I asked if there was anything I should know, and he told me something very important, that he was once featured on a shirtless calendar called Beefcakes. And just trigger warning, everyone, I have asked if our tech booth can find that and pull it up. So if you see some topless men at the end, my fault, you're welcome. And with that, can we give a round of applause to Ryan Botner?
Sadly, I don't look the same as I did then. But man, I'm super excited. Woke up at 4:45 this morning just thinking about what ways I can bring value to this group. And I want to start by just asking you a question. Is it all right if I ask you some questions today and get the crowd involved? Is that okay? All right, all right. It's a little early, all right? So let me ask it again. Is it all right if I ask you some questions, get you all to say yes, Ryan? Yes, Ryan. All right, a little bit better. Today we're going to talk about attitudes for excellence. If you look up the word attitude in the dictionary or you Google it, it says a settled way of thinking about something or someone. We all woke up this morning with a settled way of thinking about our day, didn't we? Now, it's our choice on how our attitude is going to be. Attitude for me is my most important trait that I try to convey to everyone else in my life. Great attitude is not the result of success, but it is the result of great attitude. We need to have our attitude adjusted. Excellence. The word excellence. Did you know there's 400 E words that start 400 positive words, there's actually 434 that start with the letter E. Give me one of them. Come on, I asked if you're going to be involved. Energy. Come on. Excellent. Extraordinary. Eager. Okay? How about, let me get a volunteer, because I feel like we got to get up a little bit today, all right? Can I get one volunteer just to come up here with me? Need a volunteer. Come on, I need one, just one, right here with me. Tyler's got it. All right, it won't be too bad, all right? All right, you need to just stand here, get a good base. Okay. One fist out, we're not going to fight. Okay, another fist out. Here we're going to start. We say, act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. Ready? Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. One more time. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. All right, everybody stand up. Let's go. Come on. We got to have a settled way of thinking about how we're going to attack our day today. All right, everybody, good base. Tyler, show them how. All right, fists out. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. One more time. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. Thank you. Let's give Tyler a round of applause. I want to tell my story because if I share my successes, I feel like you create competition. If you share your struggles or failures, we create compassion. That might be one to write down. Okay? So, my story, small town, North Dakota on the left, that is Litchfield, North Dakota. Who's been to Litchfield, North Dakota? Litchfield, on the front it says population more or less. And I grew up in small town. I grew up working really hard. My dad's the hardest worker that I've ever been around. He said, Ryan, if you work hard, you'll eat good. Well, I work pretty hard. All right? So I always worked hard. Everything that I did in my life, I worked hard. But I thought, man, I want to try to work smarter. I worked so hard. I played football, delivered pizzas, drove to Valley City back and forth. I had $15,000 in 2005 for college just from us, making more than my mom was working full-time at a bank just delivering pizzas with my side hustle we talked about earlier, right? Okay? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but my growing up, I worked harder then I played football, went to college, pretty much majored in football and girls. And so did the teaching, coaching thing, and I got a job offer in Jamestown in 2005 for $18,000. Said this isn't going to work. I had some student loans still. So I got into the world of life insurance. I didn't have any sales experience, but I had enthusiasm. And I've got enough still now to blow you all off the wall, but I need to control it. So I had enthusiasm, I had confidence. I just lost a bunch of weight, and that's how I got in the calendar, okay? So I had a lot of big dreams. And guess what? In the life insurance business, you can literally make your own fate. I knew exactly how many phone calls, how many set meetings, how many referrals, and I could back plan it. So over the first year, I blew my goals out of the water. I kind of understood quickly that if you hit a goal, then we have that post-goal, downturn a little bit, right? And so I just adopted that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have a journey of always making more. So I read a book called Marketing to the Affluent. Only book really I read front and back, and then I read the book Relentless by Tim Grover. Anybody read it? And so it's about Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and how their relentless pursuit of excellence and success was. And I really just took those two books and I said, okay, I want to make $1 million. And I back planned what I needed to do, who I needed to market to. And guess what? Everything clicked. Every year, made 100, then 200, then 400, 600, $1 million, all the way up to over $2 million. Big money, big life, but big problems. Why? Well, because I had these core values written down, I had missions, I had values, but I didn't own them myself. So when opportunities came about, I compromised. Drugs, alcohol, parties, women. and I literally almost lost my life. I OD'd for 3 days. I was in a coma. Still wasn't my rock bottom. My wife left me, left my kids. We had $1 million home in Las Vegas, left me. Still wasn't my rock bottom. Spent 3 days on the prison floor in Las Vegas with 12 other men in a holding tank, sleeping. Still wasn't my rock bottom. So I'm lucky to even be here today. So as far as my enthusiasm, if you can imagine where God has now brought me and the lessons I had to learn in the valleys. So when God interrupted my life, I had been trying to get sober. I'd go to AA meetings. I was doing everything I really could, but then I just said, you know what, I'm done with this. I just quit. I moved my girlfriend into the house. We had a bunch of drugs. We were dealing drugs. I was a big-time bookie, literally taking bets. I was making $50,000 a week on both sides, legit and non-legit, still money coming in. But God interrupted my life. He really convicted me on what kind of life I was living. I had to look in the mirror, slammed the door in my girlfriend's face. I gave her tens of thousands of dollars worth of drugs. I said, I choose Jesus. I'm changing my life. And when I did that, that's when the attacks really came in. So I went to mental hospitals. Everybody was just thinking Brian was going crazy. Was this even real? And so through those times, through those valleys, is when I really was able to find myself. So when I moved back here, I had some money, so I said, you know what? I'm just going to try to lose myself in the service of others. Gandhi said that. So we lived in Washburn. I would come every 2 days, work at the soup cafe, and I was just losing myself in the service of others. What that did for me is I was able to look at somebody and what they're going through, have compassion and empathy, but love them more than I finally love myself. And that was a huge, huge turning point to really start to understand, wow, this is how I can start to find a purpose. Because I had my way all along. My way was not attached to my why. Follow me? Okay? So I started planning. Say, okay, well, what can I do to bring more value to people? Well, I went through, did the motivational speaking, life coaching courses. Then I finally got a job with the state as a care coordinator, working with homeless people. So now they were paying me to help work with homeless people to do this. So that was even falling in more love with that. I got some money with it, still need to provide for my family. But I started to really plan. So what did I do? I took the things out of my mind, I put them onto an action plan. When you take things out of your mind, you put them down on paper, and you have a plan, you have a goal, the success rates goes from 5% to 35%. If you put a deadline on it, it goes from 35% to 65%. If you have an accountability partner or coach, or you just mainly hold yourself accountable, which is harder with our human nature, it goes to 95%. So I was able to take things in my mind and take them from 5% to 95% success rate, which is why you see me up here today. I've now created an eager want. Got me out of my comfort zone. I hired a coach. I walk into businesses. I walk into car dealerships. I give myself away. I bring value, massive value. As an eager want creates them. They want to buy more than I even want to sell. And then from there, it's just word of mouth and continues to grow. Because why? Because I'm bringing massive value. There's nobody in this world that takes a burden from somebody else that is useless. So, everywhere I go, I carry around my one-page strategic plan. So I keep this around with me all the time. My relationship with God, my relationship with my wife. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. My mentor, he said, he came home one day and his wife was sitting there bawling. He's like, man, he had a great day. She's sitting there bawling, she's crying. She's like, honey, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. I said, okay. And so he goes and is cleaning up a little bit, comes back, and she said, you never do the dishes. Okay. Well, he's like, wow. Well, he did what every red-blooded American man would do in that situation. He bought a dishwasher. So we need to understand that our wives are and our spouses are the most important people other than God in our lives. So I try to make sure and go above and beyond, go and make sure and listen and put time into, but I had to do that through what? Pain. First off, I'm glad she even brought me back for all the stuff I did. So I'm already appreciative of all that, but understanding that I need to make sure that the people I live with, my kids, they're the ones that see Ryan lead every day. They're the ones that see me do the things that I do every day, and it impacts and influences them, because leadership is only influence. Nothing more, nothing less. You're either influencing the person across from you or they're influencing you. So, and then the last one, health and fitness. Would I like to be the guy that I was in the calendar? Sure, but that's not really my priority right now, but I also understand that I need to make sure and be intentional, okay? That's my word, intentional about what I put in my mouth. And we've got an Herbalife shop, so I've tried to surround myself with healthy ways. My wife's a personal trainer, so I literally try to control my whole environment. Why do I get up? How do I get up at 4:45 in the morning? Well, I put my phone across the room on the alarm, and so I got to get up. And then what do? I jump in a cold shower, because I got to smack my system. And that's something Tony Robbins gave me. He jumps in a 50-degree tub and shocks the system. Well, guess what? You're up now. And it sucks every day I do it. But I'm up, and I'm not going to fall back asleep. Now I've gotten up, but I had to create an environment for that. I used to put a piece of paper over a coffee pot, and I put an alarm on it, so then if I didn't get up, they'd have coffee everywhere. But I was sick of cleaning up coffee. So, what do I try to do now? Every day, I'm a seed planter. My dad was a farmer. So my dad was a farmer, and he said, so I'm starting to get, I didn't really like farming when I was young, and because there's a lot of work, shoveling barley and grain, all this stuff. I said, this is not fun. And so I've got a better relationship with my dad as far as learning about farming. So I started talking to him about seeds. I started talking about farming, planting. We planted our first garden. So now every day, my dad said, never underestimate the power of a seed. So every day now, I plant warm, fuzzy seeds to people. Tyler, you might need a really big one today. But I plant warm, fuzzy seeds to people. And when I do that, by seeds of encouragement, seeds of accountability, seeds of hope. You can pass those down. Somebody's going to have to clean up a bunch of warm, fuzzy seeds. But guess what? Oops. Give these to somebody in your life. Because if you don't give someone today a warm, fuzzy seed, okay, guess what it's going to turn into tomorrow? A hard prickly, if you put it in your pocket. So you have to go give this to somebody else. And the next time I see you, I'm going to report and say, who'd you give your warm, fuzzy seed to? Right? There's a big one for you, sir. The ones in the back really need big ones. The biggest, warmest, fuzziest. So when I do my taxes, I'm going to have a warm, fuzzy deduction on my taxes. And I'm assuming my accountant's going to say, Ryan, what's this warm fuzzy deduction? Well, I got to buy these warm fuzzies, and I plant them all around, and I'm planting seeds of encouragement and hope and love in people. And he said, I don't know if the IRS is going to fall for that. So I said, you know what? If they call me or contact me, I'm going to plant the biggest, warmest fuzzy on a piece of paper and send it in with my taxes. So I'm looking forward to having a nice, warm, fuzzy conversation with the IRS someday. So, my warm, fuzzy life and these warm fuzzies, I plan to hand out millions of them as I go throughout my life. So if you're going to take anything away from today, these are the 5 things I do every single day. I'll go back a second. 5 things I do every single day. Why do I do them? Well, if you actually start implementing these things in your life, and you start to serve more. Just serve. Losing yourself, like Gandhi said, in the service of others. If you really want to find yourself, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, just start to serve. Whatever you do it great. The coach at Clemson, he's one of my favorite coaches, not even because of football, because of who he is. He coaches young men. John Wooden coaches young men. He was a leader. He said, make every day your masterpiece. Well, today matters. Today matters. Hopefully you never forget it. Act enthusiastic, being enthusiastic. But today matters. How are you going to attack the rest of your day today? How are you going to be intentional about the rest of your day today? But if you do these 5 things, number 1, put them in your phone, take notes. okay? Because this is going to be something that I guarantee you, if you implement this in your life, the next 6 months, the rest of this year will change your life forever, okay? So number one, obviously serve people. I just said that, but you have to value them. You have to value people. I used to serve people, but I didn't value them. Well, guess what? Then I started to manipulate them. I did all kinds of bad things to them. So if you constantly approach a situation to do what's right, then the feeling good, your fulfillment will come after that. But if I look to a situation and I want to feel good first, then Tyler and I will never do anything right. Right? So, number one, value people. You have to value people. We have to be a person of value, bring massive value. That's why people want to hire me, because I bring massive value. Well, how do I do that? Every day, I think of ways to bring value. I was up this morning. I spent the last couple of days thinking of ways I could bring value to 1 Million Cups. I had a great conversation with Mary. I want to say Mary this morning, but I wanted to listen intently and think of ways I could bring value to her moving forward. So number two is I got to value. Number one, value people. Number two, think of ways to add value. Number three, I'm constantly looking for ways to bring value. When I walk in and do my cold calls, when I'm walking into a meeting, I'm constantly looking around, I'm looking for core values, I'm looking for mission statements, I'm looking for things that I can bring value to that necessarily I don't even get paid for. I want to just bring value. I want to be a person of value. So don't try to strive, Albert Einstein, to be a person of success, but be a person of value. And the success will follow. If I help you get whatever you want, Ziggy Ziglar, and everything you need, or I'll get everything I need. If I help you get whatever you want, I'll get everything that I need. And the way that I do that is, first one, think, look, but I got to do things. I have to physically do things to bring value. If there's 5 frogs on a log, 4 of them decide to jump off, how many are left? Tyler? I'm going to say it again. There's 5 frogs on a log, 4 of them decide to jump off, how many are left? 5. They decided, but they didn't do anything. They didn't take action. Life is all about action. You could say you really care and love for someone, you want to serve them, but are you going to really do it? Are you going to show them? Are you going to take action? That's what people want to see. And then the last one, and this is, look, I've already done all 5 of these just this morning before 10 a.m. I've already completed my 5th. I'm encouraging you to what? Go plant warm, fuzzy seeds to somebody else. Go serve. Find a side passion, a side purpose, not a side hustle. I don't like the side hustle word. Okay, side hustle, guess what? All that money, all the Rolexes, $1 million house, $100,000 cars, all that made me happy for a second, but it left me incredibly empty, incredibly just miserable. How many here have met miserable rich people? How many here, now I've never ever met someone miserable that has dedicated their life in the service of others. Ever. So I guarantee you, if you just start to, not necessarily to find your job, I'm very blessed because now my job, and I get paid, I feel is my purpose, is my why. My why is when I meet somebody, I want to bring massive value to them. I want to see them live up to their expectations. But I had to go through what I had to go through in my valleys. I had to go through my own seeking. I had to really start to love myself again because the guy I looked at in the mirror 2 years ago, I didn't like him. Now when I like to look in the mirror, I love that guy. Why? Because of what God's made me into, how he shaped me and molded me. So encourage others to add value. I'm going to leave you with a quote. And this quote is a Ryan Botner original. So it's men and women, successful men and women, keep moving. They make mistakes, so fail early, fail often, fail forward. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
All right. This on? It's on? Great. Thank you, Ryan. We will have a mic runner. Is it Tyler? All right, it's Tyler. So if you have a question and you're in the audience, please raise your hand and you'll get the big orange mug. If you are online watching, please ask in the comments or on Twitter, hashtag 1MCND.
Was I good on time there? I don't even know how much time I had.
You're great.
Okay.
Great. It's like you do this for a living.
I was kind of
Something.
feeling everything out.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with, you talked a lot about, I think we got a good taste of what you are like as a motivational speaker. We didn't hear a whole lot about what your actual job in business day-to-day is like.
Right.
So when you're not on stage, what is Ryan Botner or Cornerstone Consulting
Yep.
Group? What do you do?
So there's two aspects. When you go onto my website, cornerstonespeaking.com, it has schedule a clarity call for coaching and schedule a clarity call for speaking. So yesterday, for instance, I had a clarity call was from a cold call, the North Dakota Manufactured Homes Association. They just hired me to come and speak, and so they went on and said, but that was a cold call. I walked in to one of the businesses, and she said, wow, this is what we need for our association. Took a picture, boom, 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 and it went from there. So there's a speaking aspect of it. There's the corporate training that comes with that. I do work with a lot of car dealerships because they have their sales training every 2 weeks, and so I would come in and bring more leadership training on a consulting role. But for me, I love to do individual coaching, whether it's life coaching, business coaching, whatever it may be. For the most part, I could tell people and teach them how to make millions of dollars. And if that's what they really want to do, then I'll help them do that. But I will tell them that that's not going to make you happy. It's not going to leave you fulfilled. And so I just want to be in the journey with people along the way. And from that standpoint. So I'm not a success coach. It would be more of a life coaching type of thing.
And your consulting group is just, it's you right now? Or
Yeah, so I just hired a virtual assistant, and then I have a partner in South Dakota who's been in the business for 35 years, and his name is Mr. Attitude. So a lot of the stuff that I've adapted, and applied in my life, I hired him as a coach first, and so now he's consistently sending me clients that he's had over the last 35 years as well. So we partner together a lot.
Awesome. Great. We have a question from Commissioner Camisa.
Good morning.
Is this working? Okay, there we go. Now I hear myself. I know we've had an opportunity to talk a number of times, and we've discussed kind of how you transitioned into the business. Could you share with the group a little bit about that? I think it's a pretty interesting story and how you transitioned into this line of work.
Well, I really thought I was in the will of God when I was working as a care coordinator for the state. And to tell you the truth, I loved what I was doing, and people were, I was really bringing massive value to people. And the state just called out of the blue, the people I was working with said, we got to fire Ryan. Well, it was on the technicality of, I made a form that helped people that were either on drugs, or I would go to the homeless shelter and the soup cafe, and I would say, well, fill this out and I'll get you into the system so that I can start working with you, and now you're going to be a part of what's called Community Connect. Well, that was technically a marketing, which they didn't allow, and I really didn't even know that. I didn't say that, I didn't think training. Well, they just fired me, no questions. And so that was just God nudging me to take the step in faith to get into the speaking and coaching business. And my first month, full time in the business, I made $10,000, and that was my overzealous goal. But you can see, I have this eager want that I'm establishing with people, and they're wanting to give me their money even more than I want to take it. So I'm being very intentional now about growing the right way, because I want to make this always about the people. And so everything that I do, once again, the 5 things: bringing value, staying client focused, and really enhancing my listening skills. And so that comes through pain, because guess what? Ryan was not a great listener my whole life. So I have to be very intentional about my listening skills.
Great. So on the slides, you say over and over again, add value, add value, add value. What does value look like? Are you talking money? Are you talking that? I feel like defining that term could be really useful.
So if you think about what was a person of value, and you can use that word, I always want to be a person of value. So if I think about times in my life where I was just trying to sell a product, and I would do anything I possibly could, manipulate the whole system to make it look like life insurance was the only way to go. But I really wasn't bringing any value. I was serving, but I was manipulating the situation to bring value. And so now, was I really bringing value? Did it leave me fulfilled? Absolutely. For a second, I was fulfilled with some money, but after that, I couldn't really look people in the eye and say, this is something that's going to change your life. And so the relationship that I build now is so much more valuable. And I'm selling myself, which gets to be a little tough, but that just holds myself even more accountable. But I've found that personal growth, and I brought this book up here for a reason, because other than the Bible, this is probably one of my most important books in my life. It's the 15 Valuable Laws of Growth. And it talks about, first, the law of intentionality, being intentional. Change is inevitable in our lives. And we've all went through a lot of change in the last few years, right? But if you truly want to grow, nobody gets on the top of a mountain and says, Mary, how'd I get here? Right? It's one step at a time. It's growth is intentional. And so if I know that growth is intentional, for me, once I started investing in my personal growth, because I always had awesome sales skills and I was always outgoing and people loved Ryan. But so on a scale from 1 to 10, from a skill standpoint, I was a 9 or a 10, but my leadership skills were only a 2 or a 3. Why? Because I wasn't intentional about my personal growth. I wasn't becoming a person of influence. So now that I've invested in that, it's like doubling a penny every day. If you start investing in your personal growth, you will literally see the returns massive. Do you know what happens if you double a penny over 31 days? Anybody know how much money you'll have? $21 million. So now I'm deep into my personal growth journey. So I have massive growth every day with the books I read, the podcasts and everything. And now I'm able to adapt, adopt, and apply and share it to the people I'm working with, which even magnifies my growth. So that's really what it comes down to, value. Now, what am I doing? I'm bringing value to myself. I'm valuing myself more, but then it flows like a river to everybody else.
I have a question, Mary. So, Ryan, thanks for sharing your story and spending some time with us this morning. You have a big personality. You're a big guy. You're loud, very extroverted. When you're working with clients, whether it's on an organizational level or one-on-one coaching, an organization can be more introverted as well. So how do you just kind of how do you work with a client that doesn't have the kind of that same just very extroverted approach like you do?
Well, the cool part about my past also is I was a great poker player. So I'm able to take those skills. It's funny how God puts us in situations and then now he works it all up for the good. I'm able to take those skills and be able to read a situation. And what I really try to do every time when I'm meeting somebody, or, if I'm trying to get organizations jacked up, it's a little different. But if I'm really trying to connect and influence with somebody, I'm listening to how they talk, their tone, the words they use, and I want to come back with that similar type. Because why? I want to not just communicate with this person, I want to connect. Everybody communicates, but few connect. So if I can connect and start to really get into this person's soul to understand where they're coming from, what they're dealing with. They might be telling me a certain, they might be even trying to sell me something. They might be telling me a statement, but if they're coming from, I'm seeing some pain, I'm seeing some things that they're dealing with just from their tone, now I want to try to bring that same tone back to them. I want to use words like, let's just say somebody uses the word literally all the time. I'm going to throw that in because I want to get that connection. And when I bring that connection, now I can start to really influence this person, not in a manipulation point of view. I'm not trying to manipulate them, but I'm trying to win them to my way of thinking, because guess what? I know that the things that I've implemented in my life really work. And I continue to grow on those things. And I'm not perfect, and I'm going to grow every single day. So I want them to understand that if Ryan can do it, I can do it. If that makes sense.
So you're in the self-help industry, more or less, and that is a $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of scam artists out there. Every book is the book that's going to change your
Right.
life. Every speaker is the speaker that's going to change your life. And to the point where, how does somebody go in looking for you or looking for a book and know, hey, this is legit. This isn't somebody plagiarizing another person's
Right.
work or somebody just talking out of their ass. How does a person come in knowing who to trust in this industry?
You know, and I say this a lot because I'll try to watch some people in the industry and be like, man, I just can't click with this person. I feel like there's not a realness. There's not that genuine nature about them. So that's the first thing, is that can you tell if this person is truly being genuine? Well, are they sharing their struggles with you? Are they sharing, the things that they've had issues with? Are they being open and honest about stuff? And I'm on such, I have on my desk, it says everybody's watching Ryan. Well, it really is now, especially coming out of drugs and alcohol. They're waiting, okay, well, what's Ryan going to do? But not only that, but when I come in and I'm trying to influence people, they're watching every little detail. That attitude card that you guys have in your hand, I had to get them reprinted because on the E, it had Excel as in the energy company instead of the word Excel. Well, guess what? Somebody brought it up. I felt really foolish, but it's everybody's watching me. My mentor said he was walking down the street one time after he was working with a dental firm, and somebody saw him just walking down the street while he was just looking down at his shoes or something like that. And you would think that the world was falling apart because he said, Bob, you're Mr. Attitude, and somebody said you were looking down as you were walking down the street. Well, that's good thing for me. I want that, because I want to bring that every day, and I bring that every day to my kids and my wife now in my life, and I want that transformation to be able to be real and not manipulated.
We have a question.
Thank you again for being here today. I appreciate your story. What message would you give to, let's say, someone in their 20s, maybe they're in college or they're just trying to figure their life out and what path to take? Like, what message would you give to that person?
Well, I'm going to go back to, this is Dabo Sweeney, the coach for Clemson, and he never thought he would be the coach for Clemson, the head coach making $10 million a year, whatever it may be, and as influential as he is. But he had one rule, one principle. And whatever he was doing, whether it was he started off as a high school coach, a GA, he just worked his way up, whatever he was doing, wherever he was, he did it great. If you're cleaning a toilet, do it great. I asked people, I said, who makes their bed in here? And barely people even raise their hand because it's like, what? Just to wake up and make your bed and do it great. Just do that, and it's going to keep flowing into the little things. I tell my kids every day, it's the little things that we do every day. So if you just do things great, wherever you're planted, I'm going to go back to my seeds, bloom. And if that person can do that, they will be rewarded more than anything else in their life. And for me, I know that because I did do some things great, but I didn't do a lot of the little things great. So I look back on my success road where I overlooked a lot of little things that if I would have did those little things great, I wouldn't have had to go through what I went through, but I'm glad that I did.
We have another question.
Yes, I love your energy. I just have a question. I'm in sales, and I was just wondering, what is the most influential book that you read or podcast or anything that really, in the sales industry, that influenced you?
The podcast right now is Ed Milet, by far. It's the Max Out podcast. It's by far, from a sales standpoint, and same energy that I'm bringing. His story is similar to he just wrote the book, The Power of One More. His dad got sober, and that was the thing. So he talks about adding one more thing every day. And if you're in sales, what is that? One more phone call every day, right? One more referral every day. Let's just keep adding to that one more. If you're a gym person, one more rep. But the power of one more. So that's by far the most. And then from a book standpoint, How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably one of the best because you're trying to win people to your way of thinking. And that's what sales is all about. So that's Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
So kind of on that note, what is the worst advice you've ever heard? What is the exact opposite of what people should listen to?
You know what's funny is that whenever I'm around, and even new people I meet, I ask them, what is the best advice you've ever received? And I ask that because I'm really interested in what it is, but then I ask who it comes from. So maybe I should do this question, what's the worst advice and who did it come from? Because I don't want to get referred to that person. But the worst advice, let's go watch a movie. Turn off your TVs. Seriously, we turned our TV off in our household about 9 months ago. We took it out totally, and our kids have absolutely flourished. I now pay them $1 for every book report they do, and they are transformed in front of me. Turning off the TV, putting down the phone, which is really hard. And it's hard for me even, but to be a better listener and putting down the phone. So I would say, let's go watch a movie.
I can tell you're good at what you do because you turned the bad advice into good advice. How old are your kids?
I've got 5. So the oldest will be 11, and then it goes every 2 years.
Do they know about inflation? Do they know the
Yeah.
dollar is not really?
Right. And you know what? They still get distracted. I said, you get paid for a book report. What are you doing?
That's $1.
It's $1. Yeah. So maybe I need to go a little more, $1.50,
Yeah.
but
I think, we need to pay our workers for their time fairly. $1.
slave
doesn't
labor
feel-
for reading.
Doesn't feel very fair.
But I look back at my life, I wish somebody would have paid me $1 for reading books, because then I would have been a better reader. I only read really 2 books beginning to end.
Well, there was Book It.
I know.
But I was pretty heavy in middle school
and
because of
the
Book It.
bookmobile, the bookmobile still goes around. I can't believe it's still rocking.
Free pizza
Rolling,
for books.
still rolling.
I support free pizza for books.
Yeah.
Not my fault. Don't union best.
So you mentioned you guys run some Herbalife. Herbalife?
Yes.
It's a soft H, right? Or silent H. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit? How many shops do you have? How did you get into that?
I woke up once again, I don't even know, probably at 1 in the morning one day, and this is when I was working at the Soup Cafe, and God put on my heart Herbalife, and I wasn't even using Herbalife. I was gaining a lot of weight coming off of drugs and alcohol. I started gaining a lot of weight, so the guy was probably like, hey, you need to get in shape. But he also, was looking out for what Washburn needed. So Washburn, North Dakota, this is the only business I could have possibly brought that would have had the influence and the impact and the effect of how we could bring people in. And now I'm giving them self-help along with talking about health, and my wife being a personal trainer. So we just have our little shop, the people we work with here in Bismarck, I tell them, I'm like, we're not trying to grow. This is a family thing, so now I think about all the teachable moments I have with my kids every day, and they make shakes and they run in the cash register, they're doing all these things. So it's something, and then in the back, is where I have my office, and so it's attached. So God has really brought everything together. So one thing I'm very careful about, especially with the speaking business, I don't want to be gone. I don't want to be speaking like that. So I've already had some opportunities to say, well, hire this person and as an agent and whatever it may be. Not to say I'm great, but I'm sharpening my axe every single day. So I want to be great. I'm striving to be excellent at what I do and get my right message across.
So you mentioned that you are a coach and you also have a coach.
Yes.
Does your coach have a coach? How far up does this coach pyramid go?
He had to learn a lot of stuff, hard knocks, and I appreciate that. And so he's 70 now, and he got in it about, the same age as I was when he started. And he went through a lot of, so he's been through a lot of rough times. Now, he doesn't have the extrovert as much. He doesn't have all the things that I bring to the table. But he's got the more detailed side of things, and he's a wonderful educator and a teacher. If you run a workshop, he's just phenomenal for those things. So I feel like, no, he doesn't have a coach, and he's never had one, but he's had to learn a lot of his stuff, hard knocks, which really I appreciate. But usually I would recommend, yes, if I think of the great pastors in my life, they have a pastor. There's always an overseer, because if you don't, you start to really go off base on things. So I will always have a coach, in my life. I will always have somebody that's holding Ryan accountable, because if you're going to embrace anybody in your life, embrace the people that call you out on your garbage. And it's hard to do. But really embrace those people that are willing to just call a spade a spade.
I feel like there's a chicken and an egg coach joke in here, but I just can't figure it out.
I try to use it all the time, yeah.
So you talked about your family and you have 5 kids now. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to come back together with your wife and your family and that process of switching your priorities from your business to your family?
Well, first and foremost, everybody's like, well, we'll see. Is this even real? You know, the sad part is there's a lot of people in my life that, you know, don't even want me to succeed now. And that's just how success goes. And they'll turn your back on you when it's tough, and then they're just always waiting for another shoe to drop or something to happen. But my wife has always been there. She always has believed in Ryan. And she knew when I was going through this, when I would be gone, I would literally be gone for a week at a time and just be ghost. I would just go, I was lost. You know, I wasn't a meth addict, but it was cocaine. So it was really the same thing. And I just couldn't kick it. You know, I couldn't get away from it. It was always, the devil's always bringing something in my life. But she said she knew when people in her life would be like, what are you doing? You know, all these things, leave him, all this. She said, you know what? Ryan's going to come out of this. So she had belief in me. She had belief. So Ryan's going to come out of this and he's going to be a motivational speaker. And so she had belief, and she's held on to her biblical principles about, you know, no, we took an oath, and you're my husband, and I'm your wife, and this is how it's going to be, for better or worse. And so I really, really appreciate that, obviously. And my kids now don't have the issue of being in a divorce household. And I'm very thankful for that, because it's getting more and more people are just quitting. You know, well, if we quit whenever it gets hard, there was the story of the 49ers, a famous story, a 49er, he dug and he was literally an inch away from gold and he quit. And then the guy went back and it was like right there. And so we know if we only knew how close we were to success and how close success and failure really is, it would actually be very encouraging for people to know that. But it's that power of one more.
I feel like it would be very difficult to ever win an argument with her if she was like, well, I stuck with you through your cocaine addiction,
100%.
so you do the dishes.
Right. And that's really what it comes down to. So I don't even buy a dishwasher. I am the dishwasher.
Well, no.
Right. And so, but no, we are, because of that, the strength that we have, the bond we have of being able to go through things is
Nothing will ever feel as difficult, right?
No, and you know, we're all going to go through things, you know, in our life, and what's it saying? All the growth comes in the valleys. You know, anybody who's ever went through anything, anybody who's ever went through change, I come and I talk to CEOs of organizations, you know, when they've had to go through change, what is there? Massive pain. In true change, if there's no pain, there's no change coming. But if you're going to really go through any type of change in your life, there has to be pain attached to it. And I tell that to anybody I coach, said there's going to be some pain here, but we're going to get through this. But there has to be pain for there to be growth. A seed can't burst out of the ground without growth. It's pain, it's breaking up. You know, there's pain attached to it. If you want to go to the gym, you want to build muscle, guess what? You got to break down the muscle first. It's going to be pain. You're going to be sore. So then that's when it comes to growth.
So if there was one thing that you wanted everybody in the audience, both online and in person, and really the whole world, if you could tell them one thing that they could change about their mindset or their behavior, something small that you think has great returns, what would it be?
I would say, I'm going to leave with this, and the world is like a big pot of boiling water. That's the world we live in. Now, you've got 3 options. You can be a carrot. Everybody knows what happens when you put a carrot in boiling water. It softens and mushens, it weakens. So the environment has now weakened and saddened this carrot. If we put an egg in it, what happens? Hard-boiled egg. It's hardened. It might seem okay on the outside, but in the inside, the heart is hardened. It's never able, because of the hurt, to be able to to be able to really accept anything in their lives in the future, and they're just hardened from it. And the last one, I'll tell you, if you're going to do anything in life, be a coffee bean. Because if you put that same coffee bean in a pot of boiling water, what happens? It transforms it now into coffee. So we have to be transformational leaders when we come into situations and say, no, I'm going to own my own agenda. I'm going to own my own principles. This is what I'm bringing to the table. And people, anybody that know me now, they know what I'm about, and that's why they hire me. And that's embraced. So if you're going to be anything, be a coffee bean.
And drink coffee, right? That's the important
And
thing.
drink, yeah, and come to 1 Million Cups.
Yeah, well, Ryan, thank you so very much for being on our stage today. We ask everybody who presents one final question, and, well, there it is. Tyler, if you would do the honors.
So, Ryan, last question we ask every week is, how can our 1 Million Cups community here in Bismarck, Mandan help you succeed?
I would say the biggest thing for me is if you guys are already doing my 5 things, right? And I love that. But if we could just encourage even more, any more value that you can bring and thinking about and looking and doing those 5 things, and you guys are doing a great job of that. So I know, I'm looking at bringing in a big time speaker. I was just talking to Ross about it. Actually, the coffee bean speaker, his name is Damon West. Bringing him into Bismarck. So hopefully we can do something and all partner together. I think it would be something really influential.
So your answer is more people need to come to 1 million.
More people need to come.
That's what I got.
More people need to
Summer
be
is
focused
hard.
on their personal growth.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
everybody
all
that's
we
here,
do
everybody
here.
that's here is, because you don't get out and you come here without saying, I want to take something from this. I need to be here. I need to have 2 feet in and really want to grow.
Well, you heard it from the professional. We're the only people that can help.
Yes.
Right here, 1 million cups.
Wonderful.
All right, speaking of being the only people that can help, we do have a few things coming up on the 1 million cups schedule. We have our 1 million cups breakfast coming up next week. Oh, you will get a round of applause. Hang on. I really encourage you to come. The very first one that I went to, I sat next to somebody who actually helped me brainstorm a solution to a problem, and now that solution has turned into a program I run at work, so I'm not going to say it'll solve all your problems, but I'm saying it might. After that, we have Spark Group, and after that, we have For Victory. Let's see if the calendar. Nope. Sorry, we didn't find the calendar, but we tried. Just remember that you can go to 1millioncups.com/Bisman and apply to present. We would love to have you up on the stage. I promise I won't be the MC every time, so maybe you can coordinate somebody a little more agreeable. And let's give Ryan a round of applause for his great work.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming, everyone. We'll see you at the breakfast next week.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thanks.
I didn't know your story at all. But, yeah, we got to, I'd love to
Collaborate.